51 inches of rain, 24 trillion gallons of water. Businesses were flooded. Thousands of homes were impacted. If you were from middle-income, affluent areas, you flooded. If you were in low-income communities, you flooded.
It was a phenomenal event. It's going to be the most expensive storm ever in American history.
Houston has to return to some sense of normalcy after Hurricane Harvey.
The goal was to get our kids back into school as quickly as possible. Transit system was back up a few days after the storm. Airport system was back up. The power was totally on. But at the same time, even though the city is quickly recovering, there's still thousands of people whose homes need to be repaired or rebuilt.
Harvey can be characterized as the largest housing disaster in the history of the U.S. We think on the order of 300,000 homes impacted by Harvey. That's about half single-family homes and about half apartments.
Houston's success in the future depends on its ability to build a much more resilient city. How do we accommodate that reality as we go forward in the 21st century?
Well, it's going to take three things. It's going to take, number one, time. It's going to take money. And above all, it's going to take many additional workers.
If you come at it from a point of economics and importance to the entire country, Houston and the surrounding area, the Port of Houston, represents probably 6% of the GDP in the country.
When you look at the ship channel, we supply fuel to all parts of the United States. There are 2 international airports, the largest medical center, the largest children's hospital. There's not too many places that will have a greater impact on what happens in this country than right here in the city of Houston.
One of the challenges we face is the storm has acted as an economic event all of its own. Not a good one, but one that's created a great deal of demand for labor.
There's a lot of different kinds of work to be done. You can think of very highly skilled work on some of the facilities around town, water plants and those type of things. I think because Harvey was such a significant housing issue, the hundreds of thousands of houses that are damaged, that's the piece that I worry the most about.
Every able-bodied individual within the city of Houston and the surrounding region is called upon to do their work. As you can imagine, there's a huge need for contractors, and people will tell you it's kind of difficult to find those contractors these days.
Our country, in particular our industry, are facing a workforce crisis. We have an exiting generation of boomers that with 10,000 a day are retiring, and we're seeing a big gap in the workforce. And the next significant number is millennials, and their expectations of jobs are a little bit different. A lot of the nonprofits have asked the question, what are you doing recruiting-wise in the wake of the storm? And the answer is nothing new. I mean, there are no more new recruiting techniques. Those that are recruiting have been turning over every stone in an attempt to find qualified workers or candidates.
Having this rebuilding effort go at the pace that we would like and having sufficient human resources out there to get that work done is a piece of uncertainty right now that we're not able to solve. Now, my concern is clearly that it won't be sufficient, and the clear result of it not being sufficient is people suffer for longer.
One-third of all the residents of Harris County are foreign-born residents. 500,000 are undocumented immigrants. They are critical to the well-being of the city, to our ability to rebuild in the way that we need to, in the time frame that we have. And especially in construction industries, which are precisely the industries that undocumented or new immigrants who have difficulty with the language and knowledge about how to do this building become the key forces in the construction industry that are going to be absolutely essential to Houston's ability to position itself for prosperity in the 21st century.
We need to find a way to bring those people out of the shadows, so allow them to work and to pay taxes while they work on becoming to a position of legal status, so that we can take advantage of that area of the workforce. Because when you try to recover from something like Harvey over a period of the next several years, that's an enormous surge in activity. And as far as I'm concerned, we need all hands on deck.
What's the big solution? How do we blend together all these things? We have a fabric of laws, and I think we need to enforce the ones that we have. But I think the truth is that our immigration system does not work anymore. It does not address an economic solution, one that business can deal with.
I need, as a representative of the city in this case, I need a legal way to be able to access that workforce. Not necessarily trying to convert those, tens or hundreds of thousands of individuals to full-fledged legal citizens. But, this idea of can you get identification? Can you be put into a special category? That would be amazing for us. We would love for that to happen.
It is unfortunate that we're living at this point in time when people are fearful to participate in this economic engine that we call the city of Houston, all of the private businesses that are in need of them. We need that labor force. In its absence, or the shortage thereof, it's going to take longer, and everyone is going to pay the price.
As any other American city, we're going to need immigrants to maintain our GDP, to maintain our workforce, and continue to have a good economy.
Houston finds itself at the forefront of the transformations that are occurring across all of America. And it turns out it's the fourth largest city in America. It's the single most ethnically diverse major metropolitan area in the country, more diverse than New York, more representing equal division among Asians, African Americans, Latinos, and Anglos. So Houston is one of the places where the American future is going to be worked out.
Our ability to build and attract the desirable legal workforce is an economic and a value proposition, then I think that's something that everyone could learn from. I think it's missing from the message everywhere. We talk about right and wrong and left and right, and we never talk about value. And at the end of the day, anybody that should be here in the country because they bring something to the fabric of our society.
The fact of the matter is that everybody in this city, and I'm saying everybody, not just those with papers, contributes to the economic engine of this city and this region, which impacts the rest of this country.
Watching a city like this and how those very diverse populations now learn to live together and thrive together and maintain some unique character all while being part of a bigger city, it is a fascinating experiment, and one that the U.S. sure better get right.
The reason why there's room for optimism about Houston is that Houston is good on the business case. It's able to recognize the enlightened self-interest that is involved here. It's business people recognizing this is in the long-term economic self-interest of the city as a whole. And that's where I think you're going to see that ability to transcend the anxieties, the fears that come with this remarkable demographic transition and say, yes, this is who we are, this is our destiny, whether we would have chosen it or not.
We live in a pluralistic society. That's not going to change. Learn how to live next door with your neighbors. Recognize the strengths that people bring to the table. We are a welcoming city. We don't build walls, we build relationships. If you're within the city of Houston, whether you're documented or undocumented, regardless of your language, you are welcome in this city. Because the city of Houston is so diverse, and because we place so much emphasis not just on being diverse, but being inclusive, the city is standing.